held the view that the Commonwealth is the greatest single achievement of the peoples that made it happen. And during the Second World War and even the First World War, but more particularly the Second World War, brave men and women too fought and died to preserve the Commonwealth and to make what we now call the new Commonwealth, or to create what we now call the new Commonwealth. And by so doing, they raised the words equality and freedom and friendship to the pinnacle of man's achievement. I have been, in my own life, so impressed by our own history, from the point of view of I come from a military family, and my father died in the Royal Scots. My brother was a Gurkha. I also served with Gurkhas. And so naturally one has a kind of sympathetic view, or an idealistic view about military men. But these ordinary men and women, whether they were Canadians or British or Indians or Australians, New Zealanders, Africans, Singaporeans, it didn't matter where they came from, they all came together and they fought and they died together to give us what we have. And those threads of history, I mean, they in fact preserved this country. And so it's very appropriate that the Queen here should be the head of the Commonwealth. But for the Commonwealth, I mean, what would have happened to Britain in the Second World War in particular? And I mean, a Sikh pilot in the Battle of Britain is a very interesting thought when you come to think of it. And also, I mean, a Sikh once captained the English cricket team is another little thought. But there are millions of little incidents of that sort. And the history of the Commonwealth, in my view, is written on tombstones, or not very grand stones perhaps, all over the world in the graveyards of men and women who did their best to preserve this tremendous oasis of friendship across the world, which was such a terrific heritage. And you can't do something about it by simply talking. And when we started, as you know, the series of Commonwealth expeditions, there were 14 in all, our aim was to carry on the earlier tradition, not to fight, but to carry on the sort of spirit of comradeship that those marvellous men and women had established for us. And this was best done by going to the heart of the Commonwealth, where the new Commonwealth began, in fact, in Delhi on the 15th of August 1947. And the contact, apart from the travelling and the test and the challenge of doing that, because every task, the driving and the navigating, the mechanicking, the radio operating, the first aiding, was all done by us, as you know. But the contact point had to have something more, and so we used the old form of communication, songs. After all, we had done the job ourselves, we had gone there, we'd made our mistakes, we'd had our successes, we'd had our failures, and we sang our songs. And people who were interested in Comex, which is dedicated to the idea of crossing the barriers that divide people as an adventure, we should do our own songs ourselves, and people who are interested in Comex would say, yes, fair enough, we want to hear the people who actually took to the great roads, the long dusty road as we call it. We want to hear these very people sing the songs that they created and sang wherever they went. The little tune that we had produced, a piped tune called The Little Green Flags, and that in fact was taken from Prince Philip's speech, and that is why we've incorporated in one of the songs the final paragraph of Prince Philip's speech when he inaugurated the Green Pennant Awards, and he uses the words, the little green flags. And so the pipes tune was then given the name Little Green Flags, and our Indian friends thought this would be a perfect melody on which to build a raga for the Commonwealth. And that too is an exciting adventure, and I hope it works. The raga, of course, is a highly complicated and a very ancient form of music, and it's not easily done. But the idea was not mine. The idea came from Kamal Khan Sharma, who was a Brahmin tabla player in Delhi, and Pramod Shankar, who was a very fine sarod player. And they had this idea that the melody lent itself to producing a raga, and they're still working on it. And maybe one day, with enough interest and so on, instead of having an anthem for the Commonwealth, this ancient form of music will emerge as a raga from the Commonwealth, from the very country where the new Commonwealth began on the 15th of August 47. Well, there was a song produced, I think, by a fisherman many years ago in Zambia, before Kaunda became president. And the song was Tiende Kaunda, as conceived by this fisherman. I don't know, but I think he was. And Kaunda felt that his name should be removed, and it should be Tiende Kamozi, meaning forward together. And when the advance party of the African expeditions went to Zambia, at the invitation, incidentally, of President Kaunda, he was president then, he was moved to sing this song himself as a kind of welcome. And he had a very fine singing voice, an excellent baritone. He played the guitar beautifully, and so did his daughter. And instead of saying Tiende Kamozi, he used the expression Tiende Comex. As far as I'm concerned, I have a great sense of satisfaction that at last, after many years, we reached a conclusion that we were not so bad after all.